and they have like a, what the fuck is that? This one's a bit TMI, but I also have sharp shooting pain in my vagina. I'm in pain 24/7. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you have accepted that you're waiting, feel free to stay. And make sure that you hit subscribe and turn on post notifications and the little bell down there so that you're notified every single time I upload a video. I know it's been a while since I actually have uploaded on here, but there's reasons to it. Anyways, specifically the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I know and I feel that there is someone that can relate to what I'm going to be talking about, and I also feel like there is little knowledge, or some people might not know the ways to go about to potentially having the diagnosis, or what symptoms to be on the lookout for and stuff like that. So the reason why I'm making this video is just to discuss my having invisible illnesses basically, and by invisible illnesses I mean the fact that my illnesses are not physical, if that makes sense. Like, they're physical to an extent, but it's not like you can physically see them on me, if that makes sense. I'm anemic, heavily anemic, to the point of that I am now on contraception to prevent me from being heavily anemic. I had an emergency iron infusion last year, and my medication that I'm on now has had to be increased from 250 milligrams to 325 milligrams for iron tablets, and I have to take those literally every single day, and I have to take those for the rest of my life. Number 2, I have depression and anxiety. I got diagnosed with that. That would have been about I'm like 26, I'm going to be 27 soon, so about like 7 to 8 years ago. That's when I had my diagnosis. I've been living with depression and anxiety for a few years before that, before I got my diagnosis, because I wasn't necessarily aware of what was going on and stuff like that. I am on medication that works together with my other diagnosis, if that makes sense. My third and final diagnosis is I have fibromyalgia. So if you don't know what fibromyalgia is, I'm going to put Google's explanation on the screen, and then I'm going to tell you what it is to me. So basically, with all that said, all of my diagnosis, all my illnesses, they're invisible because no one actually knows that they're there by looking at me. Basically, like, I've literally, to the point of I've had someone literally look at me and be like, you don't look depressed. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I have high functioning depression, basically. Like, I don't know, what do you want me to be like for you to understand that I am depressed? Like, you want me to be immobile in bed, not being able to get up, not caring, not literally having, because I have that, like, that can happen, but it's not to say that like every single day I am not dealing with it. It's still ongoing, if that makes sense. Obviously now is better managed by the medication I'm on as well, but it's like I don't know what form of depression that you find acceptable for you to actually say, oh yes, you do have depression, oh yeah, you do have anxiety. And it's like, I can manage it. I've lived with this illness for some time now, so I kind of know when is going to happen. I kind of know what it is I need to be on the lookout for. Like, if I'm gonna tip over more off to like me being in a deep depression to the point that I'm not getting out of bed, I contemplating or having suicidal ideation and all that stuff, I know what can, like, how it feels for me to get to that point. Like, it's happened a number of times. So when I hear people being like, oh, you don't look depressed, I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, just because now I'm on medication, it does not mean that I do not have it. It's like someone saying that, oh, I have asthma, but right now I don't have asthma because you're using inhalers, so the inhalers are helping to control it. You still are asthmatic. One thing I need people to understand, when you are, or you live with someone, or you know someone that has a mental illness, it's not a case of you need to make it about you, if that makes sense. Let me explain it. The person that has it, living with that already is already too much as it is, right? The least you could do is to try and understand. You could also ask the person, right? Literally be like, okay, so how do you feel, or what are your triggers and things like that, if that makes sense. Because, and another thing, while on the triggers and stuff, it's not a case of that they will know every single type of trigger. Some of them, they might not even know them, and when it happens, that's when they'll realize, oh, okay, this is an additional trigger to the list, let's add on to the list of things that trigger me off and all that stuff. And it's like, you need to take it upon yourself, if you're going to say that, okay, you actually care for this person, you take it upon yourself to actually try and understand what it is that they are going through, and you now have a better understanding of how you can help them. The anxiety side, that obviously also is invisible in terms of the fact that, like, people don't actually see or understand why you have anxiety about certain things. Mine's generalized, so it's basically just about everything. It's not social anxiety, it's not this, but it's generalized. Like, literally just about, like, and the thing is, once again, I'm high functioning with it, like, I've been living with it for a while, but it's just a case of that people don't see it, they don't understand it. People like to say that, like, there's a lot of stigma still around, like, mental health and stuff. There's still there's a still heavy amount of stigma surrounding mental illness, because people don't understand it. People also don't want to take it upon themselves to understand it. They want to make it a point of that the person that has mental illness should explain it to you. But then what if I'm also trying to understand it myself? I'm not going to explain something to you. I can only explain to you what I know. Whereas in terms of, like the example I was given about the triggers and stuff, I can only explain to you what triggers me because I've experienced it and I know what it is. So if something is to happen in that situation and then it triggers me, you want me to then explain that to you? I don't know, because in that moment I'm trying to understand what's going on in that situation. I'm trying to understand what is it in that situation that's brought on me having an anxiety attack, either an anxiety attack or panic attacks. That's the other thing that I forgot to edit into this. Anxiety goes hand in hand with panic attacks. I don't know why, from my experience anyways, but it goes hand in hand. Moving on from that, I'm not going to dwell on the whole depression anxiety thing. Like, I have a whole video about it. I've made a video on it a number of times. The ones I want you to understand more of is the anemia and fibromyalgia. On the anemia side, it's invisible in terms of that it's inside me. Obviously, all these illness and stuff are physically happening inside. But the anemia, it's a case of that it's affecting how my, like, basically all my body systems work, how my nervous system works, how my circulatory system works, how my like, it affects everything. And that's what people don't understand, because people just think, oh, anemic, oh, you're tired, you're lazy, oh, she's sleeping again, oh, she's the sis, listen, when I'm telling you that I had to have an emergency iron infusion, just think about that, like an emergency iron infusion, because I was not having enough HB in my body. There wasn't enough of it. And then on top of it, my cells were not actually absorbing it. It's just some things that, like, piss me off, to be fair. There's not as much knowledge. I mean, the knowledge is put out there, but it's just people are too lazy to then seek out to actually try and understand certain things. But then also at the same time, I could say in turn, there's an issue with the school curriculum in terms of that they don't actually touch on these things when people are actually going through them. But anyways, it's like, yeah, I need to talk about periods and also talk about the possibility of people being anemic and stuff like that. Not that I'm anemic because of my periods, but it's just that I'm anemic. I've probably been anemic from birth, and it's just got worse when I hit puberty. But anyway, things that you can be on the lookout for with anemia. You try to understand when someone is always sleeping or always saying that they're tired. It's not. Stop labeling people as lazy, because you really don't understand what they're actually going through. And the third and final illness that I have, which is a chronic illness, fibromyalgia. This one is the worst one out of all of them, to be fair, because all my other diagnoses, they all get combined and they meet together with this final diagnosis. It's just mad when you actually think about it. So the way it came about to me actually getting diagnosed with fibromyalgia is I had to have at least about 16 different blood tests. I had to have an MRI scan. I had to have x-rays done. For years, basically. I'm not going to say like, oh, just recently. For like years, like over a decade, right? I've been having pain. I've been having back issues for a very long time. I've had back issues. I've had joint pain. I've always struggled with my sleep. It's just something that's been going on and off and on off. But then also linking it with when you have your period and stuff like that, you have the backache and all that stuff, and you're just thinking, oh, it's because of this. And then you take tablets and you're like, okay, now that's dealt with, that's fine. But then when it comes to this, sometimes the tablets don't even work. Like, they actually do not work. Like, the other problem with the diagnosis, getting to the diagnosis part, basically, if the problem with getting to the point where you can be diagnosed is that if there is no medical history that your general practitioner, your family doctor, whatever you want to call them, has in your medical history, they literally will not take you seriously, because I've had that experience. I'm in pain, and then the next thing, the quick thing, instead of, oh, let me try and send you for further, for refer you to a specialist doctor so that they can actually try and see what is going on with you, so that they can have a diagnosis and know how to help you further. The quickest response I had from the doctors was them giving me a prescription of pain relief. Diazepam, naproxen, and codeine. This was from the age of 17. I've had this being diagnosed, like literally from the age of 17. I've had it's just very frustrating to think that instead of actually, okay, thinking maybe let's try and get to the root of this, why is it this person keeps coming here complaining about the same thing over and over again? For a few years I've been going on and on about it and telling them, be like, okay, I need, like, this is the issues I'm having, this is what I'm having, this is the issue I'm having, this is the type of pain I'm having, it's different types of pain, and I'm trying to explain to them, like, I have this type of pain and it does this and it does that, and they're like, okay, you're taking the medication, like, it's not responding to the medication that you're giving me, and the dose I'd have to take for it to respond, it makes me fall asleep. Literally, like, the side effects of it is drowsiness. It makes me fall asleep, so I can't even take that during the day. Pain is like, it's happening throughout the day and night, so it's not like it just goes off. It's just constantly always there. Like, basically I'm always in pain. I got to a point that with the GPs I just stopped. From 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, I just stopped. I was like, you know what, no one's gonna take me seriously, nothing's gonna happen. The only thing that they actually bothered to look into was only my anemia. And then in terms of this pain business and whatnot, nothing. And then on top of it, I had a period of, I think, less than 6 years where I had 7 different contraceptives at once. No one even thought to be like, oh wait, this is not safe. You shouldn't be having as many. Why is this girl having so many different contraceptives? Why has she changed? Why has she gone from one to another? Why are they not working for her? Nothing at all. So I stopped until last year, when for some reason everything just kind of seemed to just do higgy haga, and all just, I had my emergency infusion, and then we led on to blood test after blood test after blood test. Ended up getting the referral for to the rheumatologist. At the rheumatologist, that's where I had to have an MRI scan, an X-ray, and 16. When I say, like, I'm not even joking, that's the most blood tests I've ever had done. 16. There were 3 forms, and I counted a total of 16 different blood tests that they had to do to try and diagnose me, because they've been checking, like, literally the rheumatologist told me that what they were checking for, they were trying to see, do I have any form of arthritis at all? No. Do I have osteoporosis? No. And literally from what I explained to her and everything that she was checking on me, the like different movements she was making me do and all that stuff, and me explaining my daily routine and what I go through pretty much every single day, the diagnosis I was there for was fibromyalgia. And the way I can explain this to you is, it's not an easy thing to explain. It's like you have to experience it for you to know how it feels. Try and go from head to toe to explain the types of pain that I have, basically, that I have, like, that I live with on a daily basis. I have headaches. Like, headaches that if I take paracetamol, which is the most basic but very effective, it's an effective form of like pain relief, obviously, if it's used more as an IV intravenous as opposed to tablet. Yes, the tablets, it works, but paracetamol is a good pain relief, but it doesn't even touch it. If I have headaches, I have a prescription of a different pain relief that I take to address my headaches, because paracetamol doesn't touch it. The only thing that actually helps with my headaches is a combination of codeine and something else. I cannot take paracetamol for my headaches, it doesn't work. And the problem is with codeine, once again, it makes me sleep, so I can't take it. So during the day when I'm going to uni and all that stuff, if I have to do something, if I have a headache coming on, I know that I'm gonna have to just go through, like just go through all of the pain, the motions of the headache. Like even things like this, me sitting right now in front of these lights, I know once I'm done I'm gonna have a headache. Like I know once I'm done filming right now in front of these lights, I'm gonna have a headache. Things like this, the fluorescent lights in like hospitals, of which I work in a hospital, it causes me to have a headache. I work in operating theatres where they have directional lights, they're like overhanging lights and stuff like that. Those lights are piercing. Like literally the amount of pain I feel when I have to literally be scrubbing in, right? Scrubbing in to help with the, like obviously the course I'm doing, I'll explain that in another video anyway, but like when I have to scrub in for a case, the pain I feel if I am to not be wearing my blue light glasses. I used to think blue light glasses were a gimmick. Like these, like literally these glasses have like helped me a lot. I thought they were a gimmick until my doctor recommended that like try blue light glasses, and I was like, you think they're really gonna work? And they're like, try and see, because I'd explained to him that I get the headaches and the pain reliefs were not working, and the pain relief that I can take is going to make me fall asleep, and I don't want to be reliant on pain relief every single time, because you then become dependent on it and then you don't know how to function on it, and then it's like the only way for the pain relief to end up working, if you keep taking it, you have to just have an increase of the dosage, and I don't want that. Basically, like it sounds I like I'm working against myself, but like that's literally my thought process, is that I will have to just be like go through my day in pain. The pain I have is my jaw. I have a clicking jaw. I don't know what the hell else. Like sometimes my jaw hurts a lot to the point of that I would rather just drink something instead of eating. Moving on to my torso, I have back pain. And my back pain now has gone from just usually being lower back pain. It's lower back pain. It could be mid back pain. It could be upper back pain. I now have pain in areas that I literally didn't know pain could be so isolated to those points. Unless if there's some form of physical trauma that's been directed or inflicted towards that area. I have pain in those areas without any form of physical anything being inflicted towards those places. I have pain in my shoulders, I have pain in my joints, like my wrists, my elbows. Sometimes they lock, and it takes me a while to try and get it to unlock. Like literally it will just freeze in place, and then it'll take me a while to try and like mobilize it back so that I can have the flexion and extension in my elbow again. Moving on to my lower body, I have obviously the period cramps. Those happen. This one's a bit TMI, but I also have sharp shooting pain in my vagina. Yeah, I have that also. That happens. I have problems also with my knees and my ankles, and sometimes my ankles flare up and then they swell, and I have pins and needles. Like literally sometimes it hurts to walk. Like I could literally get up and I just step onto the ground and it hurts because I just have pins and needles going on. But there's nothing else I can do. I just have to get on with the day because I can't take anything for it during the day. That's the problem. Things that I struggle with on a daily basis, literally, apart from the pain, right? I never feel like I've slept enough. Like ever. Like, I could literally sleep like 12 hours and I'll wake up and I still feel tired. Right now, sitting here, I'm tired while I'm doing this video. Some of the other issues, like sometimes when the medication chooses to work, sometimes it chooses not to work, and I can't sleep through the night, I have broken sleep. So I could sleep an hour or 2 hours and I'll be up. And then sleep again an hour or 2 hours and then I'm up again. Sleep an hour or 2 hours and then I'm up again. The thing that happens when I wake up, I have stiffness in my joints. So my lower half, obviously like my legs and my arms, they'll be stiff as anything of life the first thing in the morning, and I have to try and crack my joints so that I can have some bit of flexibility in them, so that I can get myself out of bed to go and have a shower, so that I can get started with the day. That's every single day. That's not that one is something like I can skip it. That's every day. If I had the option to be like, okay, can I skip this for like maybe 3 days out of the 7? I could skip that. I could do that. That'd be manageable. But no, I don't have a choice in that. The other thing on top of it, obviously with my jaw, sometimes I can wake up and it will be stiff as well and it hurts, and obviously you gotta get up and brush your teeth. That also sometimes can be an issue in itself. But things that some people might not think are actually a privilege to have, if I may say. Like, if you're able to just do these things honest, like every single day, you can just do it without thinking that you have to do it. Being able to squeeze water out of a towel, like I'm doing it the wrong way, but like literally being able to wring water out of a towel, that my joints, my wrists sometimes are so weak to the point that I can't do that because of the amount of pain I'm in. Things like opening a jar, I can't do that. Things like opening a bottle of water, and I can't do that. My wrist pain / my elbow pain has got to the point of that I've had to train my left hand how to drive, because sometimes I can't use my right hand because it's in so much pain. Same thing goes with my feet. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying to train my left foot to drive. I drive on automatic, and you can just, if you don't know like the layout of the pedals for the automatic, there's literally 2, and they're more leaning more towards the right side of the car, where your foot is on the right side as opposed to the left. So me trying to teach my left foot how to drive, you can see how tricky that is, because I have the brake in the middle and then the accelerator is on the right, like near the door. That's also another reason why I cannot drive manual. That was like a choice I made. Like when I was learning how to drive, it was a no-brainer. So all of you with your comments are saying that like people that drive manuals are lazy and they're not proper drivers. That, anyways, never mind. I have radiating or fleeting pain, whatever you want to call it. You could literally go from my arm to my back, from my back to my leg, from my leg to my knee, from my knee now I have a headache. From my headache now I have cramps. Like literally the pain is just up and down. It's just doing higa the whole day. I don't know which part. Like literally, it's in that moment I could be like, okay, I'm good. 2 minutes later I now have pain here. So I can't drive a manual car purely of the fact that, number one, it would actually not be safe enough for me to be on the road if I was to be driving a manual car, because of the whole thing, you gotta be changing gears and all that stuff. That's a lot of joint movements for me that I cannot be doing. I can't do that. And the whole thing of having to balance the clutch and the accelerator and the whole thing with manual cars. You see, I don't even know how you do it, but like I could not do that, because I need to be able to put one side of my body to rest just in case the side is in pain. So I need to be able to rest my left hand just in case my right hand hurts. I need to be able to rest my right hand just in case my left hand hurts, if that makes sense, because I will have to switch over. Sometimes I might have to drive with my left hand for that day because I can't use my right hand. Like the most probably my right hand can do is probably just push the steering wheel around, and then I have to have my left hand be pulling it around if I need to turn. Like it's it sounds like I'm making this shit up. That's why I said it's an invisible illness. Like people don't actually understand the extent of how such small little things that you can just get away with doing, like you do without thinking, but because of this I've become so hyper aware to every single thing. Imagine people that live on their own, like people that live on their own and they actually have to get through and try and get through the day, and they don't have anybody else that they can be like, okay, maybe could you help me with this? I've even had points where I could not shower myself because both my arms were in pain and I had to call my mom to come and help me. It sounds ridiculous. I know. It sounds ridiculous. How could you be in that much pain that you can't do things for yourself? But that's literally my daily life. That's my reality. That's the reality of so many other people. There's so many other people out there that don't actually know that they have this condition, but they're just living with it, and they've come to the point where they just accepted that, okay, they're always going to be in pain. Because that's the thing with this condition. It's a chronic illness. That is for the rest of your life. It's like there's a cure out there. If there was, sign me up. But there isn't one. Like, you're gonna have to deal with this for the rest of your life. You're just gonna there's so like such little understanding around this, and it's also from the point of the amount of doctors I've had. I know I'm getting emotional about this. The amount of doctors I've had literally say to me that, like, dismiss me, should I say, because they don't understand. They're not believing the fact that, like, I actually am in the pain that I'm saying I'm in is ridiculous. Like, I'm 26, I'm going to be 27. I had my diagnosis this year. I'm 26. It can happen at any time. Most people, they say the trigger for fibromyalgia is if you've experienced some form of trauma, like physical or mental trauma. That's what triggers it to then, like, to offset. I don't know, like, it's basically an issue with the pain signals in your brain. There's something fucked up there, basically. There's something a little bit messed up with the pain signal in your brain, or the communications and all that stuff, which is why I said my pain is always radiating. It's going here, there, and all that stuff. So you hear, like, I was reading, like, people's stories, like, some people are like, oh yeah, I've been going through this since I was, like, it started in my, like, early teens or late teens, but I only just got diagnosis when I'm, like, in my 50s, and you're like, what? Like, that could have been me. That could be somebody out there. That's probably a reality of somebody else that's watching this video, that, like, they've had their diagnosis so much later on, because there's just so much little, and there's just not enough people. There's not enough people in the medical field that actually believe you when you say you're in pain. That's pretty much all I had to share for this video. Please make sure you share it, like, even if it doesn't relate to you, if you know it might be helpful to someone, somewhere, somehow, or someone that's expressed some of the symptoms I've told you in this video. Please share it so that they can try somewhere, somehow to get help. And so that, to an extent, I hope this validates some of the people that feel like they're not validated, like their experience, whatever they're experiencing in terms of, like, in relation to their symptoms and pain and all that stuff. I hope this validates it to you that, like, yeah, there actually is a problem going on that you need to get a diagnosis for if you haven't had one. Because I didn't have anyone that was validating this to me until the doctor that's done the test and all that stuff, and until I got my diagnosis, then it was like, oh yeah, so I'm not mad. I'm not losing it. It's not me just making up things in my head. There's actually something going on. So I hope this does that to you. I hope I have been that to you, to validate that part for you. And I hope this helps you to try and seek out help in any shape or form. And yeah, I hope also this brings out, like, some awareness about it, because there's really that much about this. And it's like, oh, people are living with this. But anyways, so if you see me, if you, like, come across me at some point and I hand you a bottle of water, please don't look at me mad, okay? Just understand that my wrist, I do not have the strength to open that bottle of water. Just help me and open it, please. Okay, just open it and pass it back to me. I will greatly appreciate you for that. But anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say for this video and share with you. And I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, bye.